Hey, how's it going, guys? My name is Michael and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So this is the real estate deep dive episode number 4, where I go over questions that investors have. Potentially they aren't answered fully, or I think they can be thought of in a different way to help you guys out and really just expand your mindset on investment strategies. So without further ado, let's go over question number 1. Hello all, I am new to real estate investing. I have been self-educating myself for a year now, and I feel like it's time to start making multiple offers so I can secure my first deal. My exit strategy would be to first be a flip, second, like most, a burr. I plan on using OPM, so other people's money, as much as possible, seeing I have about 10K of my own cash. I've started initial conversations and relationships with hard money lenders as well as a few private lenders. I also started an LLC and understand how to properly analyze properties and present them to lenders. I guess my fear is not securing the loans once under contract, and are there any penalties for backing out? Also, I haven't lined up any contractors. Is that a bad thing to do once under contract? I am an electrician, so I understand a little about contractors, I would think. And any help is great, appreciated, thanks. So let's see. So are there any, what he's asking right now, what I'm understanding is he's asking, are there any penalties for backing out if you get a contract, in your name, or you have it kind of lined out? So my first thought on this, is the only big problem if you might, for a penalty for backing out of a contract, is that you might have earnest money in the deal. So there's going to be a set window of how many days that you have to look at the property, have people check it out, kind of run the numbers again a little bit more once you have contractors take a look at it to see how much it's going to cost to actually fix up and potentially flip. So that's probably going to be the biggest thing. And I think maybe a secondary problem that could happen down the road, maybe if you are always backing out of deals, your financing people might get a little bit annoyed. So I wouldn't put contracts on for like every single property. I think you should run the numbers a little bit, make a fair assessment, and then if you really like it, go ahead and then get the property under contract. So those are really the only biggest problems with having a property under this earnest money time. But other than that, there shouldn't be really any big problems. So good question there. Hi, for my current primary residence, I want to either do a refinance cash out or apply for a HELOC and immediately use the entire proceeds of either option along with my cash to purchase my next primary residence. Oh, interesting. Trying to get another primary residence. Okay, so however, I was told that I could not use either one of these options, either from HELOC or cash refinance, to purchase my next primary residence if I don't wait 1 year, because there's a clause which states you have to remain in the property for 1 year. This sounds absurd. Is there any truth to this? So, I think if you're maybe doing flips and you're using your HELOC, there might be some terminologies, might be challenges. So like if you are using the FHA loan, which counts as your primary residence, you can't just keep getting FHA loans, because you're only supposed to have one under your name at a time. So if you change the initial property into maybe a conventional loan, and then you could do another FHA loan and go buy another property. Banks probably don't want you to keep buying properties with minimal money down, so that's probably why they're giving you a headache of not using the HELOC, because that's more leverage that they're probably comfortable with. And in that scenario, I would probably, I know like you're probably trying to just put as little money down as possible to get the house, and that makes sense. That's an actual business strategy. Banks probably just wanting to have a little bit more sweat in the deal and a little more equity, just so that they feel comfortable in case that your next personal property that you invest in actually turns out to be okay. So it might take some time to build some reputation. I would probably look at different other lending options if you're having any challenges with the HELOC or the cash out refi, because of over leverage. You can look at a different bank that maybe does conventional loans. They may ask for money down, but you could probably also get a rehab budget on top of it tacked into the loan, and that might help you out. So they might ask anywhere between, I've seen 15%, 25% down. in total. But that's really helpful if you're trying to expand and then do this rehab strategy where you buy, refinance, and repeat that process. So great question there. I would say just continuously reach out to other people that offer different financing options. Awesome question. A duplex that I own is getting the entire sewer line in place as the original line has failed. My question is, will this increase the value of the property, or is this going to be considered a sunk cost to keep the property running? My thought is tenants expect the sewer line to work. I'm not increasing the quality of life for my tenants, but can't find any good information online in terms of the property value going up or remaining flat after the work is done. Thanks for the feedback. Yeah, so I've actually had to do this on one of my properties as well. I had to replace all the sewage lines and then even all the way up to the street. I didn't know, I didn't do an inspection on like water plumbing and pressuring, so I learned that from just reality and those hard facts of doing that. So what you're asking here is, will it raise the value of your property? Probably not, but I think one thing that it probably could help you with is perhaps lowering the interest or the insurance on your home. Like now you have, you could probably make an evaluation done that says, hey, I made an assessment, I improved the sewage line of this house, so it's less likely to have problems with plumbing and water flow, etc. And that might help you out with drainage. And I think too, maybe not from a rental perspective, but for a selling perspective or potentially a refinancing perspective, banks are a little more comfortable that they know that plumbing is done correctly, and if you have proof from a professional licensed plumber that this was done, then I think that's going to be a good record to keep when you go ahead and sell, or maybe when you refinance, you can talk to your bank to see what other lending options are there, because you know that plumbing is good to go. So great question there as well. If I move a personal owned property to an LLC, would that give or start credit history in my LLC, or is it still tied to my social? So they are not, therefore not impacting my LLC whatsoever. The intention here is to give the LLC credit history, or at a minimum starting building history, so I can be more flexible with purchases. I could go the route of applying for a business credit card, but I wanted to wait to apply for any new credit lines. Typically, if you're getting an LLC, if it's just you or maybe another person, let's say your spouse or one of your business partners, typically getting loans for an LLC, it's going to fall back to who's guaranteeing the loan. So it's going to be the owner of the LLC or or the business partner. And so transferring your house to your LLC, I would caution, this might help build credit in your LLC, but I would say make sure that if you got a house in your LLC, it's for your company. You don't want to have your personal residence in your LLC, because that's, now you're setting yourself up for failure, because someone can go after your personal property, which is under LLC. If they actually, pierce that corporate veil, now you lose your home on top of what is, else is in your LLC. So I would make sure to keep that separated and then go from there. So hopefully that answers the question. I would also recommend to getting a business, credit card. It's not that hard to do. I'm sure you might lose a little bit of credit points with banks looking at your credit score to evaluate if you can actually get one, but it's a good way to, just build credit, and you can use it for small things like perhaps, purchasing or paying for gas on your car while you're going to check out different properties, or, integrating yourself in a social environment with a lot of other investors. So there's different write-offs you can use, and you can just use your credit card to pay it off. That's a small, easy thing to do, and I would highly recommend it. So good question there, and hopefully I answered it pretty good. Is there any type of strategy that works out for all parties in which the seller sells the property at a discount, the house is fixed, and then resold to the owner to lease it to a tenant? I have a seller who wants to build a complex but can't secure a construction to permanent loan due to COVID. So I'm wondering if the property can get into the hands of someone that can build it and then revert it back to the initial owner for profit. The owner would get his investment property, and the flipper would get the buyback profit. Oh wow, so this is creative for sure, because the COVID times, and maybe you lost your job, but you have enough money to build a property, but you need an additional loan to help facilitate that process. First thing I think of when I hear that you want to transfer the property and sell it to let's say the builder, and then they transfer it back to you, like first thing that comes to mind is that there's gonna be a lot of fees, closing title fees associated with transferring title back and forth. You might even lose like, $3,000 per transaction of just transferring the fee. So what I would recommend in this scenario is if you can write up a contract with your rehabber and say that they will funnel the deal, they can close on the deal, but then let's say you buy it from them, that might be a scenario that's pretty useful, and you just have a contract between you two that helps facilitate that process. Buying things back and forth is a little bit challenging. That if there's not a contract in place, it can be a little bit risky. Let's say they fix it up, but they really like it and they don't sell it to you, and now you're left without this property that you essentially just gave to them. So I would probably find a way to, if you can't secure financing, perhaps have that rehabber buy it, and buy it. Let's say that you bought it, but you want the rehabber to do it. You can write a contract up where just the rehabber funnels their initial rehab, but then you have a term in place for them where you pay them back once you refinance or sell it, etc. So hopefully I answered that pretty well. That's all I got for you guys in this video. I hope you like this video. These are a couple questions that we find online. If you have any questions too that you want us to answer on this, this YouTube channel, let me know. I know a little bit about real estate, so I'd be glad to help you guys out. All right, thanks for watching, guys, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Take care.